Cub, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, man. Last time we had you, you weren't talking.
Yeah. I mean, it was my ingenious idea to, promote one of my fighters and, kind of have fun. But I guess people didn't think it was that funny. I thought it was hilarious, but whatever.
Do you think it worked?
Yeah. Yeah. I think my fighter, Dan Argueta, is doing well. I was giving him some experience. People were talking about it. But yeah, I still get every once in a while, people are like, I'm so glad he lost. He was being such a prick. I was like, man, I thought it was funny. It was to me. It was like I got the idea from the Undertaker and the Pallbearer back in the day. Not that I'm a big WWE fan, but in that when I was that age, uh, I always thought that was cool.
I mean, the correlation and comparison is pretty cool. I mean, now I understand.
Yeah, yeah. But somehow I got taken as a personal attack to media, and I was like, it's just the fact that I've done this so many times. It's like let's have some fun.
Right, right. A little bit of a layoff. I did want to ask, man, cutting down that weight, how hard was that weight cut?
It wasn't that bad. The cut, I made the weight easier than most of my 45 cuts. But the preparation and the dieting for so long, I was having some back issues that we really couldn't find the cause of, and so that kind of didn't allow me to do some of the strength conditioning. And I was like, cool, I'll just focus on the cardio. And so that made me a little fragile. And but when everybody was like, that was a mistake, he should never done that, it made me want to do it again, because I know that if I would have done it again, I would have did a way better job. I would have been a little bigger. I just refused to miss weight, and I had never touched that before. So, but ultimately, when I thought about it, my body took a good like 3 months, 4 months after to get back to normal. And I was like, you know what? At this stage in my career, it doesn't make sense for me to do that. I'll stick it out at 45, and I've had lots of success there, and I'll add to the stats until I'm ready to walk away.
Do you regret that cut, or is it something that you really wanted to do, so you did it?
Yeah, I don't regret it at all. I think I would have regretted it had I never tried it. The 135-pound division is so good right now. It's like I was like, I want some of that, and I thought that a title shot was still possible at 135 if I made a statement, had a couple good wins. They'd be like, oh man, he's got a name. Throw him in there with some of the big dogs, and so that I got no regrets with it. This sport's about. That's one of the greatest things about this sport is it's not about your record. You get to, as long as you pick yourself up and you rebuild and look better than you did prior, they're going to respect you. So taking chances and taking risks is all this sport is about. And why wouldn't I drop to 35 and give it a shot?
What was the biggest thing you took from the loss to Jonathan Martinez?
It's so funny that all the guys that dropped from 55 to 45 that I beat, there was a lot of them, and I always knew that they would come in underestimating me, and I told myself that daily, and I knew exactly what his game would be. I knew what his strengths were, and I was like, I don't see myself losing, and he beat me. And it was just like, damn, I still underestimated him. And it was like, man, no matter what I did, I still did what those other guys did against me years ago. So it was kind of funny.
Back at featherweight against another prospect. How did you like the matchup?
I love it. I was just saying, his skill set's there. He's mean, he's dangerous. We're both coming off of losses. We both need to go in there and prove something. Stylistically, it's a fun fight. But I felt like he was the right amount of dangerous to make me train hard. I went to Denver and trained at high altitude and pound for pound Muay Thai, and just to get away from the family, which I hadn't done since I had kids, and that was hard.
You know, do you enjoy fighting these prospects, or like at this point in your career, like do you want these legend fights, these bigger fights, the veteran versus veteran fights, like, or is it just a fight to fight?
I like them both. You know, each one is a different challenge. You know, I hear people say it all the time. Like, why don't they give you somebody that, you know, as experienced as you? I'm like, who? There's not too many, you know. So for me to fight at the highest level, I can't be picking and choosing. You know, I feel like this is a very fair matchup. You know, it's, you know, yeah, I don't see like there being a senior league or some crap like that, you know.
Is this fight with Uriah Faber ever going to happen for the King of California?
I don't think so. You know, we wanted it to happen, and it's always nice to build up some fights, and that fight had some steam. But I would definitely have to go back to 35. I don't think he had any interest in meeting me at any catch weight or coming up. And yeah, he's been out of it for a long time now, and you know, he's got a family and stuff. So we could have did it. I ultimately would have taken me. I think if I would have beat Jonathan Martinez, I think that fight could have happened, and that would have been a good fight to sell, and then that could have pushed me up, you know, right up in the top to get a good opponent next. But didn't work out, so I'm back at 45, and here we are.
Finally, you know, you're coaching a lot more, managing. How's that? Like, how if there's one thing you could tell a young Cub Swanson back when you started, now that you're a manager and a coach, what would you tell him?
I don't know. I mean, it's such a tough question. I honestly feel like I've done it right. You know, I'm not a kind of person that has many regrets. I feel like I learned from my mistakes. I always find in my low points, I find like that's when I grew. And so, yeah, all I do is I just share. I'm very honest and open with my guys. But that's the thing I love the most. I'm not one of these companies that is going to have hundreds of fighters. I have a handful of guys. I got Danny Silva's going to be on the Contender Series. So possibly by next year, 90% of my roster's in the UFC, which is cool because they weren't when I got them. It's been pretty great. But I talk to these guys about their home lives, about paying taxes and about investments and about taking care of their bodies, and like I give them all the knowledge that I have. So to me, it's been pretty fulfilling, and I think that it'll make that easier for me to walk away from this sport competing when I'm ready.
Up over here. Obviously, you just mentioned that you help them with taxes and their personal life. I mean, what's it like also being a father figure to some of your fighters?
Sorry, we're so close to the weight cut. I'm getting thirsty. Well, that's the first thing is I don't baby them. I tell them all the time, like, look, I got 3 kids. I don't need any more. Don't. I'm going to help you with all the things that I should help you with, but I'm not going to be babying you. I expect you to train hard. Like all my guys, I could leave them alone for 2-3 weeks, not talk to them, and then check on them, and they've been training, grinding. Like they're all, I call it the sickness. They all got it. They're grinders, and so I'm very proud of them for that. Taught them their work ethic, how to train smart, how to push it. But as far as I'd say, they see me as like an OG. You know, they listen to me, and I'll, if one of them doesn't want to hear me, then I'll talk to the other guys and say, hey, you know, you talk to them, make sure that it's a little community. So shout out to my bloodline guys. We got a good thing going.
And I saw you mentioned Dan Argueta earlier. It's nice to see where he's going. His last fight ended with a bit of controversy. Just want to see what you made of that fight.
Yeah, I thought I think the odds were insane for him to win first round submission, but we thought that was what was going to happen, and he did. We are trying to get that overturned. My partner in Bloodline is a lawyer, and he doesn't just say he's a lawyer; he's an actual lawyer. And so we're talking. We got the UFC's blessing to talk to the commission, and I've talked to the referee. And my stake in it is, the first thing they tell us backstage is when you put your knee down and you lift it up, every time they come back to it, they're like, don't play the game. Don't play the game. If you get kneed in the face, that might be on you. Even if it's like borderline illegal, they're saying you're playing the game, it's on you. So I told the referee, like, I'm on his side. I felt bad. By somebody going like this means like you're telling the referee to get ready to jump in, and he's trying to like save you. So to me, that's playing the game. And I feel like that shouldn't have been turned over to a no contest. I think that was a win. I think his opponent was playing the game, and I think he deserves the loss on his record. And I think he just retired too, so it doesn't matter to him. But for my fighter, when it comes to negotiating, when it comes to rankings, like, an extra finish on your record and a win as opposed to a no contest, it means a lot. So we're going to be pursuing that to get it turned over.
Ultimately, do you guys think you'll be successful in doing that?
Probably not. With historically, if you look at him, it rarely happens. But you can't change my mind.
For sure. And last one for me, your opponent, Hakeem Dawodu. He last fought against Julian Erosa. Did you get to catch that fight? And if so, what did you make of that fight?
Yeah, I got to watch that fight quite a bit, and I know Julian. I thought that Julian did a really good job of mixing it up and being a full mixed martial artist. And a lot of people still struggle with that. We're still such a baby of a sport that, there's not many great MMA coaches. There's still a lot of specialists, and you have to put it together. But to be able to teach people that in between of how do you blend striking and wrestling and grappling, that there's still a big gap there. And I think Julian took advantage of that in the fight and made it really difficult for Hakeem and dropped him, I think, twice, which, it's like why Frankie Edgar would outstrike people. As a boxer, he wasn't amazing, but as an MMA striker, he would tag you and you're like, how is this guy hitting me? But it's the way his level changing and the way you mix it up as a complete mixed martial artist. So I think that's what I'm going to need to do in there is show some of my skills that I've learned over the years and show that it's not just like a kickboxing match. This is a full MMA match.
Good luck. On that note, some of your former opponents have gone to try to just do boxing, like Jeremy Stevens, Jose Aldo. I wonder what your thoughts are on some of these, a lot of ex-UFC fighters going and trying to just do that one.